Hi everyone, it's Ryan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to decorate my little niece's first birthday smash cake. Okay, to start off with, I have made a batch of buttercream, and this is just a regular like American buttercream. I'll put the recipe down below. And then I have three 6-inch cake layers here. This is just my yellow cake recipe, and I will put the recipe down below as well. I do have a video where I made that. And then I have simple syrup, which is just equal parts sugar and water that you put on the stove until the sugar dissolves, and then this has cooled. So to start, I also have a little acrylic cake around here. You do not have to have this. You could just have a cardboard circle, a plate, whatever you want to use. I just use these instead of cardboard because of doing the videos. It's less wasteful. So I put a little bit of icing there to glue it down, and I'm going to simple syrup the bottom of one of my cake layers. Let that simple syrup soak in a little bit. And then I put the bottom down and try to center your cake as best as you can on your cake board or circle, whatever. And then just going to add, these are really thin cake layers. I actually got 6 because I was trying to stretch the cake batter as far as I could, because I'm doing this for the video, but I'm also taking one back to Illinois to use for her actual birthday. So I got as many layers out of this as I could. So I am going to put a little extra buttercream between the layers just to make this a little taller. All right, so then I'm going to take my next cake layer and put the top down and try to make sure that you get it pretty well evenly, not spaced, but centered with your other cake layer. Then I'm going to add some simple syrup to this as well. Let that soak in. And I'm actually going to simple syrup this one over here while I'm waiting. Okay, we're done with that. And this simple syrup is great to have. I've started having it in the refrigerator for like my coffee and stuff. So now we're going to add another layer of buttercream. And you can use whatever kind of icing you want here. Since it's for a baby's like smash cake, they really do not care. They're going to be smashing it, and it's sugar, so they're excited about that. So I'm going to do a thicker layer here as well. You can use your icing spatula to smooth this out if you want. It's just an added step, so I just used my scooping spatula, I guess you could call it. So then this one, top layer was a little uneven, so I'm just smashing it down on one side a little bit so that it's a little more level on top. I'm going to let that sit for maybe a couple minutes because my cake layers were cool, and this buttercream just has, well, it doesn't just have butter, but it has butter. So the coolness from the layers is going to help the buttercream start to harden a little, and that's going to keep your cake from shifting. So I'm going to pause for a couple minutes and let this kind of sit. Okay, now that I've let this sit for a little bit, it's a little more sturdy. So I'm going to take a good scoop of my icing. I want to make sure that I do save enough to do the final coat and the decorations. So if you need to make a little more buttercream, like if I was doing a 9-inch round, I would have probably doubled that icing recipe. This should be enough to do this 6-inch filling, icing, and decorating. So I'm just going to be mindful of that when I put icing on here, because you don't want to use too much when you're crumb coating, because you don't want a lot of crumbs in your icing that you're putting back on your bowl. So I'm going to go a little sparingly with this. I forget that I need to aim toward the camera. Add a little bit more. You want to push it over the side, just kind of starting in the middle and the top, pushing it over the side. And then I'm just going to work my way from the top down. And I'm really just trying to get all of those crumbs stuck, sealed in, so that they don't come through on the final coat. This is the crumb coat, so your icing at this stage is going to have crumbs in it. And I don't want this layer to be super thick because we are going to have another layer. So like I said, I'm just trying to get as much as I can, get as far as I can with the smallest amount of icing. So I'm just trying to seal that bottom edge right here. Okay, now I'm going to take my spatula on its side and go around the entire cake. Smooth that bottom out. And I'm just going to take it, make sure you are perpendicular to your board, and just start spinning. This will help make sure that your sides are nice and even. Up here you can see there's some gaps. That's fine in your crumb coat. You can try to get it as even as possible if you want, but you will even everything out in your final coat. So now I'm just going to, clean off my spatula on my bowl and then just take it across the top, all the way around. And parts like this where it's not completely level, that's fine in your crumb coat. Just go around, smooth it off, and then I'm just going to do one little to kind of level out any spots in the top that might be a little bit high. Okay, so that's all we're going to do right now. Put this in your refrigerator for 10 to 15 minutes, or you could do this hours ahead of time, your crumb coat. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and while it's in the refrigerator, I'm going to get started making the icing colors for the decoration. All right, to start off with, I just wanted to show you, this is kind of the inspiration that I'm going for. My sister wanted kind of wildflowers, a floral theme, and it's going to be kind of like an unfinished edge on the top. So this is what we are going for. Okay, so I went ahead and got rid of the icing that I had scraped off with the spatula into the bowl that had the crumbs in it. Eat it, throw it away, whatever you want to do. I threw it away because I don't need to eat it right now. So, like I said, you want to make sure that you have enough icing in your bowl to finish icing your cake. And those decorations are not going to require a ton of each color. So the most, I think, is going to be the green. So I'm going to go ahead and make the green first. I'm going to get just a small amount here. It's not going to look like a lot. And then I just have gel food colors here. You want to make sure that you use gel because if you use the water-based ones, they will kind of separate in your icing. So I am going to start off by making the green, and those colors, like you saw in the picture, were kind of muted. So I don't want to use a ton of color. So one of the ways that I like to do that, because you can't always control the drop size that comes out of these little bottles, I like to take and just do a little drop on the side. So I'm going to use green and ivory to make the color that I want. So I need to take the lid off, or the seal off of this one. And be careful when you mess with these because this color, because it is so concentrated, if it gets on your clothes, it's very likely going to leave a stain. So I will have these colors linked in the bio, or not in the bio, in the description below. So I am going to go ahead and just add the ivory directly to the icing because I do know that I want a more like yellow muted green. So then what I do, hopefully you can see this. So now what I do to start incorporating the green is I just take the point of my spatula and just dip a little bit in the green that's on the side of the bowl. And I just add it in there. So you can control how much color you have. And I want it to be a little more like an olivey green. So I'm going to add a little more, and I am going to add a little bit more of the ivory. And I might need to get the brown, because I just really don't want it to be a very bright green. I'm going to add a little bit more green here. I'm going to grab some brown, and I'm going to speed through this. I'm going to speed through me making all of these. I'm using leaf green, lemon yellow, baker's rose, violet, and burgundy. I'm going to make 5 different colors for the flowers and then the green for the stems and leaves. So I'm going to mix these up, speed through this as fast as I can, and I'll be right back. All right, so these are the colors that we ended up with. For this one, I used pink, a little brown, and ivory. This one, I just mixed white into the bowl that these two had been in. And then this one was yellow, brown, and ivory. This one was green, brown, and ivory. This one was burgundy. And then this one is violet, burgundy, and ivory. And then these are the tips that we're going to be using. A tiny little star tip. This is the Wilton 14. A little tiny plain tip. This one is the 2. A few different rose tips, and then a leaf tip. So I have a few different of these and then a few of these, and I will link down below a set of piping tips, a couple different kinds. Okay, now that my cake has been in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes, it's ready for the final coat. And if your icing is super bubbly, you want your icing to be kind of as smooth as possible to put your final coat on. So you can either put it on a low speed on your mixer or just run your spatula over it, and that kind of works out the bubbles. So this is going to be a more like rough final coat for this design. So I'm not super worried about it being super smooth. But if I was just doing a smooth cake, I would really want my icing to be as smooth as possible. Okay, so now this is the amount of icing that I have left. It is not a ton. So I think I'm gonna put pretty much the majority of what I have here on top. And the more icing you have for this part to at least get started, the better, because it's easier kind of to take away icing than to like dig into your cake and have crumbs come through. So I'm just going to start working the icing down the cake. And you can see right here where it's still pretty bubbly. And if you need to, go back to your bowl and grab a little more icing. So we're just gonna slowly work this down the cake. I still have quite a bit up here on top, so I'm going to flatten it out a little more. Okay, and use what I got there and continue to work down the cake. So you're just slowly going back and forth. And then, so for this design, the top is still pretty rough. The side is fairly smooth, but the top, we're going to do a spiral and then sort of a unfinished edge on the top. So right now, I'm going to take and do this to the side, or to the top, I mean, and then I'm going to go over the side one time. I'm going to smooth or scrape my spatula off. Guess I got some icing on my turntable here. Clean that off. Okay, so I'm going to scrape that, and then I am going to take my spatula, not completely level, there's a bit of an angle, and we're going to make a spiral on the top. So just go around and start bringing your spatula in toward the center. Okay, so we're done with the top right now. If you don't like it the first time, you can always go back and redo that. So now we're going to take our spatula and go perpendicular to the cake board, cake drum, whatever you're using, and just start smoothing. So we're just going to keep going around until we get it as smooth as we want. And I think that looks good. Now you see up here, we're leaving this alone. It's a little more rustic. It's perfectly fine. One of our wedding cakes actually was similar to this, where it had the rough top. Yes, we had, I believe, 9 different designs at our wedding because I'm a cake decorator. Why not? So we're going to leave this alone. It is done. We're done icing it. I know it's probably hard for some of you out there that are a little bit more of a perfectionist, but it is okay like this. Now I'm going to take my rag and kind of forget I have to be over here for the camera angle. Just go around the side and kind of get the icing off of your cake board, cake drum, whatever you're using. It's a little more rustic, so it is going to have kind of a rough bottom as well, but that is okay. You could, if you wanted to, take some of the white and just do a piped line around the bottom to make a border, but I'm going to figure out the best angle to show you how to decorate this cake. So I'll be right back after I figure that out. All right, so we are ready to decorate this cake. As you can see, as I was spinning it around, the icing did get a little thin here. You can see the cake layer through that. I am fine with that. If you are not, use some extra icing and go back over it. But you can get a really good view right here of just how rough that edge is. And that is exactly what I was going for. So I'm going to show you how you could go about doing this if you were a little unsure of piping or having a steady hand and you kind of wanted some guidance while you are piping. So you could take a toothpick or skewer, whatever you wanted, to kind of make your stems. So I'm going to start with the sort of lavender looking flower. So I'm going to go right here, and as you can see, I got the food coloring on me. So you could take a skewer and sort of make your line where you want you can hardly see that, but where you want your stem to be, like where you want to pipe. So you can just kind of go off and do that. So it gives you a little bit of guidance, and it is very hard for you to see both of those. But in person, I can see very clearly that there's a line there. So then what you're going to do, on my green bag here, I just have, let's see if it'll focus, a 2-tip. So it's a 2 plain tip. And I am just going to, now, if I mess this up right away, this is a weird angle because I'm trying not to be directly in front of the cake so that you can see what I'm doing. So don't judge me if I mess it up right away. So you're going to start at the bottom and slowly work your way up and just stop. And I always have a little rag here next to me so I can wipe the tip of the piping bag off. So I want it to have a few different stems so the flower can come off of that. And then we have the bigger stem over here. And I'm just following that line that I made with the skewer. And then I'm going to have a few different little offshoots for this one. So you're really just creating the groundwork for what you're going to be doing. So I think I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do each individual flower that I'm going to be doing. And then I might, once I do each one, I might go ahead and just speed through decorating the rest of this cake. We'll see. I don't want to have like an hour-long thing of me doing this because it might take that long. It wouldn't normally, but it might because of the angle I'm trying to do this at. So on my purple bag, I have another 2 plain tip. So here I'm going to try to start up here so you can see. I'm going to start by just doing little dots. And what I'm doing here is I am just doing sort of, it's not really an outline, but this is the shape that I want that flower to take. So down, I want it to be really thin up at the top and then heavier toward the bottom. So I'm going to go back down here to the bottom and I'm going to start sort of filling it in, filling up where I want there to be more fullness in the flower. Hopefully my hand is not getting in the way. You should be, while you are decorating this, you should be directly in front of the cake. I'm trying to angle a little bit so that you can see what I'm actually doing. Do as I say, not exactly as I do right now. So like I said, I want it to be fairly thin up here at the top. So I'm just gonna kind of leave more spaces. If you need to add more, do so. So we've got that there. And like I said, keep a rag off to the side to wipe the tip off. And then I'm gonna do the same thing going down the flower. You can make these as small or as big as you want. There is no rhyme or reason for what I'm doing here. I'm just going off of what I think I want this cake to look like. Well, I guess how I want my sister, how she thinks the cake should look based on some of the pictures that she sent me. So down here, I'm just gonna do a little baby flower. So it's sort of like lavender-esque. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to speed through me doing the next little bit of these. Okay, so that flower, that's how I wanted that one to look. And I will go back in here in a little bit and add some leaves. Like I said, I do have the leaf tip, but sometimes I do also just use the plain tip to make leaves for little simple flowers like this. Okay, so now we're going to go over here. And I have on this little like light peach, I have a star tip. Let's see, there we go. So just have a little star tip. And like I said, you can use a skewer or a toothpick if you want. Add some little ones down here. And these aren't really, this one is not even really supposed to look like any certain flower. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make the stems. Start from the bottom, slowly go up. My dog is behind me wanting to play. Okay. These little gaps, just go in and fill them in. Okay, so now we have our star tip. And what you're going to do with this, and you can always practice like doing these flowers on like a piece of parchment or wax paper or something until you feel confident to put it on the cake. So I'm just going to go in, squeeze just a little, and just do little clusters on the end of each of these stems. For these types of flowers, the smaller the star tip, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So now we're going to do like sort of a ruffly flower. So I'm going to do the same thing. And these, I'm going to try to add a little bit of height. So tall, short. We're going to try to do tall again. Okay. So now we're going to use this sort of mustardy yellow. And I just have, focus, a little rose tip on here. So we're going to do ruffles. So you're just going to take and lightly squeeze. Like I said, this is a very hard angle for me to do this, so bear with me. So you're just going to take it, squeeze a little ruffle, squeeze it a little, and it's okay. Like I dug in right there. That is perfectly fine. Don't freak out. And then we're going to go back here one more and one more. So we hid where it was, where I kind of gouged the cake a little. So here, we're going to do the exact same thing. Let's see. I'm going to do a petal, 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 and you can make these as big as you want. You're just kind of adding dimension and adding layers to make it look like little flowers. Okay, so now we need to go. I'm going to probably do another lavender right here. So I'm just going to go back over here and show you another ruffly flower. So I'm going to do probably a little, because I have this space right here to fill in, I'm going to do like just a little short one. And then I'm going to go up here. See, we have this bubble. So I'm going to go over that bubble with a flower. And my lines are a little shaky, I'm well aware. So now we have this kind of salmon-y pink color with another small rose tip. So we're going to go right down here and we're just kind of going to do a little bud, a little flower bud. So light pressure. And then up here, we're going to kind of do the same thing we just did with the yellow. So we're going to petal, petal, and it's, you can layer these however you want. And we're going to go down here. Sorry, I keep turning it so it's from my best angle. Petal, petal. It's just very light pressure. Aren't those cute? Okay, now we have this burgundy color. That's the last flowery one. So let's see, what do I want to do? I actually might change that tip. So I'm going to do another short one. Oh, sorry, I'm turning it again. Do that, and then we'll do taller one, and then maybe another short one. Okay, I'm going to change the tip on this one, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to find a 3 tip, but I couldn't find them. So this is a 5. It's a little bigger than what I wanted. So we're just going to, I know on some of my other videos, like when I showed you how to make a heart, like just a little tiny heart, you just apply pressure and pull. Pressure, pull, pressure, pull, pressure, and pull. So we're just going to make little, I don't even know what to call these because I don't know, but just cute little flowers. Okay, so I am going to decorate the rest of this, speed through it, well, speed it up for you to watch. And then I will come back and do the leaves. All right, I think I'm pretty much finished adding the flowers on here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in and add some leaves. So certainly for the smaller flowers like the lavender and those little things, maybe a couple of the others, I'm just going to use the 2-tip. And what you're going to do is just kind of pressure and release. So pressure and release. So you're just kind of doing long, skinny leaves here. There's no rhyme or reason here either. So just go in and do it however you want. And don't forget about the bottom. Okay. Add one right here. And then down here at the bottom, because these are supposed to look like wildflowers. Hopefully you saw that. I'll show you more. They're growing in grass, so we're just going to use just this plain tip to add some little green at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to go to this one, start at the bottom, start wherever, honestly. It's just where I'm choosing to start. Go to your flowers, add some little leaves right at them. Find your empty spaces. You can tell which side is easier for me to do because of how I'm adding these. Okay. Let's see. Maybe one right there. Right there. And you could always use like a 1-tip if you wanted to make these a little more delicate. And my hands, I have really hot hands as far as like decorating goes. So my hands tend to melt the buttercream. So that's not always fun. That's why it comes out of the tip a lot faster because of that. So here I'm just going to do some little little leaves all over. Find the other one. Add some. I bet this is making a terrible noise because my icing bag was hitting the microphone. Okay, now don't forget, I need to go back to the other one too. Add some extra greenery down at the bottom. Then I'm going to go around to all of the other ones where I'm probably going to add like a real leaf using a leaf tip and just add some, like I said, sort of grass. Oh, we forgot one of these. And my tip for keeping, see how my icing is about to come out the top, is to take it, wrap it around your finger, and twist. Okay. Going back here. And like I said, this video is to help my sister ice my niece's smash cake for her photos. So hopefully this is making sense. And because it is just going to be a smash cake, of course it needs to look great for the pictures, but it's also going to be smashed. So while we always strive for perfection, everyone's really just going to be paying attention to my niece in the photos. Okay. So for these purpley ones, I am going to add the greenery right at them. So I'm just going, start right at the bottom where the color starts and go up them just a little. Same on this one. Okay, and then I will switch to the leaf tip, and we will just add some simple leaves to these other ones. So you're going to just squeeze and release right at the base of all of these. Okay, just a couple more. All right, I think usually I miss one, at least one of something, but I think that looks pretty good. I think, let's see, you usually always have a front. I feel like this is the front. I don't know, that's pretty too. Ooh, I like that. Maybe that. So this is just decorating sort of a wildflower themed smash cake. And it doesn't have to be a smash cake. This could be a birthday cake. That's just, ooh, almost knocked the camera over. That is just what this one is going to be used for. And you could add some little, like, just instead of doing the stems on top, you could just add little of like the little flowers on the top too if you wanted to add a little something. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, like, subscribe, all those lovely things. And yeah, check back for another video. Let me know if you like this.